They asked me to give up my daughter in front of 200 people. Not in a courtroom, not in private, on a stage. Under crystal chandeliers with cameras recording every second. Champagne glasses raised, soft laughter drifting through the air. And the worst part? Everyone was smiling. The spotlight hit my eyes so hard it burned. For a second I couldn't even see their faces, just shadows shaped like people who had already decided who I was. But I could feel them, watching, waiting, judging. Oh, Evelyn, sweetheart, don't make this harder than it has to be. Margaret Holloway's voice floated across the stage, soft, elegant, poisonous. She stood a few feet away from me, perfectly composed in ivory silk, her posture flawless, her expression practiced. A glass of champagne rested in her hand like this was just another celebration. Not the moment she was about to erase me from my own child's life. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. It never had. This is for Sophie, she continued, tilting her head with just enough softness to fool anyone who didn't know her. You know you're not in a position to give her the life she deserves. A ripple moved through the crowd. Agreement, sympathy, quiet judgment. I tightened my grip around the pen. Cold, metallic, real. Unlike everything else in that room. To my right, Daniel shifted closer. My husband. Or the man who would stop being that very soon. You're dragging this out, he muttered under his breath. Just sign it, Evelyn. His voice was calm, controlled. Oh, but underneath it? I heard everything he was trying to hide, Manki. Impatience, irritation, and certainty. He thought he had already won. I didn't look at him. Not yet. If I did, I might have ended this too soon. The host stepped forward, adjusting his microphone with practiced confidence. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we witness a deeply emotional moment for the Cross family. A few people chuckled politely. Tight, uncomfortable, careful. We all want what's best for little Sophie, he continued. And sometimes, that requires difficult decisions. Difficult. That was one way to describe it. Behind him, the massive LED screen glowed with the Holloway Foundation's logo, a symbol of wealth, power, reputation. Margaret's empire. Or at least, that's what everyone believed. I slowly lifted my gaze toward the audience. Now I could see them clearly. Investors, socialites, board members. People who had shaken my hand, smiled at me, while quietly deciding what I was worth. A burden, a mistake, a temporary inconvenience in Daniel's otherwise perfect life. They didn't know me. Not really. Evelyn, Margaret said again, stepping closer. You've embarrassed yourself enough tonight. Her fingers brushed lightly against the contract in my hands. Let's not make it worse. Embarrassed. I almost smiled. The paper trembled slightly, not because I was afraid, but because my body was playing the part they expected. The weak one. The one who would fold. The one who didn't belong here. I lowered my eyes to the contract. Voluntary relinquishment of custody. Clean, legal, final. In exchange, a financial settlement. Large enough to sound generous. Small enough to erase me completely. No custody. No visitation. No voice. Just gone. Someone in the front row leaned in and whispered, honestly, it's probably for the best. I let the words settle, not because they mattered, but because I needed them. Fuel. 5 years. That's how long I had let them believe I was nothing. 5 years of silence. 5 years of being underestimated. 5 years of watching everything. And tonight, they thought they were finally getting rid of me. Evelyn. Daniel again. Sign it. I finally looked at him. Perfect suit, perfect posture, perfect lie. But his eyes, not calm anymore. There it was. A flicker. Doubt. Good. I lifted the pen. Held it above the paper. Paused. The entire room leaned in. Margaret smiled. Daniel exhaled. Phones lifted. They thought this was the breaking point. They were wrong. Before I signed, the words were quiet, but they cut through the room. I lifted my eyes toward the screen. Can we play the donor video? Silence. Not polite. Not curious. Dangerous. Isn't that what tonight is about? I said softly. Yeah, the foundation. Transparency. Something shifted. Let's show them where the money really comes from. The screen flickered. Black. Then a frame appeared. And everything was about to change. The screen flickered, then froze. A loading icon spun slowly in the center. Once, twice, and then nothing. A low murmur spread across the ballroom. Confusion first, then something sharper. Doubt. Margaret recovered instantly. Of course she did. She stepped forward, lifting her champagne glass again like nothing had happened. Seems like we're having a small technical issue, she said smoothly. A few people laughed. This time, more confidently, because now they thought they understood the story. I had tried something, and it failed. Margaret turned toward me, her smile warmer now, almost kind. This isn't the time for theatrics, Evelyn. The word landed perfectly. Theatrics. Daniel leaned closer, his voice low and tight. What did you do? I didn't answer. Because for a moment, this looked exactly like failure. A man near the front row raised his phone higher. Wait, this is insane, he whispered. Another voice, louder this time. This is going viral. I lowered my eyes slightly, let my shoulders drop, let them see what they expected. The weak version of me. Margaret stepped closer, placing a hand gently on my arm. You see? She whispered. This is exactly why we're doing this. Her fingers tightened just enough to hurt. You're not stable, she added, louder now, just enough for others to hear. A ripple moved through the crowd again, this time uglier. She looks like she's about to lose it. Yeah, this isn't normal. Daniel exhaled, shaking his head slightly like a disappointed husband playing his role. I didn't want it to come to this, he said. But Sophie deserves stability. Stability. I almost laughed. Instead, I let my hand tremble. The pen shook slightly above the paper, and just like that, they believed it. She's done. Just sign it already. The host stepped in again, less confident now, but trying to regain control. Perhaps we should continue, he said. We can revisit the video later. Margaret didn't even look at him. Sign it, she said quietly. Daniel didn't whisper this time. Sign it. Two voices, same command. I inhaled slowly. Let it shake on the way out. The pen lowered. Closer, closer. The tip hovered above the line. And for a second, I let them believe I had lost. Then, the screen made a sound. A soft click. The loading icon disappeared. The first frame shifted. Margaret froze. Daniel turned. And the room went completely silent. Because this time, it wasn't a charity video. The screen sharpened. A hallway appeared. Cold lighting, static angle, security footage. For a second, nobody understood what they were looking at. Then a figure stepped into frame. Daniel. A sound moved through the room. Not loud, but sharp. Recognition. On screen, he looked different. No smile, no charm, no audience. Just calculation. He checked over his shoulder. Once, twice. Then he reached inside his jacket, pulled out an envelope. Thick, heavy. He handed it to someone just outside the frame. The audio kicked in. Low at first, then clear. Make sure she never finds out. A pause. If she does, we're done. The room exploded. Not in noise, but in reaction. Gasps. Phones lifting higher. People turning to each other. This isn't real. Oh my God, keep recording. Daniel didn't move at first. Then slowly, he turned his head toward the screen. And I watched it happen. The moment he realized. What the hell is this? He snapped. But his voice wasn't in control anymore. Turn it off, he said louder this time. No one moved. Because the video wasn't done. The screen cut. Another angle. Another room. Margaret. Perfect posture. Perfect control. Sitting across from two men in suits. Documents spread across the table. Her voice, calm, precise. Root it through the foundation. It's cleaner that way. Silence hit harder than any reaction. Then it broke. Not all at once, but in cracks. Whispers turning into voices. Voices turning into noise. Margaret stepped back. Just one step, but it was enough. Stop this, she said. No warmth left. No performance. Just command. Desperation. The host stood frozen. Daniel paced once. Then again. Like movement could fix this. It's taken out of context, he said. Too fast. Too loud. No one believed him. Because they had already seen enough. I slowly set the pen down. The sound it made. Soft, controlled, final. Cut through everything. Margaret turned toward me. This time, really looking. And what she saw wasn't weakness. I met her eyes. Calm, steady, unshaken. You wanted them to see who I was. My voice carried across the entire room. So I thought, it was only fair they saw who you are too. Silence fell again. Heavy, absolute. Behind me, the video kept playing. More clips, more proof, more truth. Not random, not accidental. Built, planned. Daniel stared at the screen, then at me. How long? His voice cracked. How long have you had this? I smiled. Small, controlled. Long enough. And in that moment, everyone in that room understood something at the same time. This wasn't chaos. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't a breakdown. This was a plan. No one spoke. Not because they didn't want to, but because no one knew what to say. The video kept playing. More footage, more conversations, more proof. Transaction records, hidden accounts, signatures, all leading back to them. The energy in the room shifted, not slowly, all at once. A woman in the front row lowered her glass. She wasn't smiling anymore. A man near the back stepped away from his group, already typing into his phone. Someone whispered, "This is real." And just like that, everything changed. "Turn it off," Daniel snapped. This time, his voice broke through the room. But no one listened, because he wasn't the one in control anymore. Margaret stepped forward, fast, sharp, not elegant. "Stop the video." She didn't say it to the host. She said it to me. Because now, she understood. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. You should let it play. Calm, even, unshaken. It's important people see the full picture. A ripple moved through the audience again. But this time, they weren't reacting. They were repositioning. Distance. From Daniel. From Margaret. From the people they had trusted 5 minutes ago. Margaret's breathing changed. Faster now. Shallower. "You don't understand what you're doing," she said. I held her gaze. "Oh, I understand perfectly." Then I turned toward the audience. "Tonight," I said, "you were invited to witness a family making a difficult decision." A pause. "But that was never the real purpose of this event." Heads turned. Phones lifted higher. Attention locked. This night was always about exposure. The word landed. Heavy. Final. The screen shifted again. Clean overlays appeared. Financial data. Transaction chains. Structured, organized. Irrefutable. And then, a logo appeared in the corner. Not the Holloway Foundation. Something else. Margaret saw it first. And for the first time that night, she didn't hide it. No. Daniel followed her gaze. His expression changed instantly. Confusion. Recognition. Then, panic. "What is that?" he demanded. I didn't look at him. Instead, I addressed the room. "For the past 5 years," I said, "this foundation has operated with external funding. Anonymous. Untouchable. Unquestioned. Murmurs spread. Every expansion. Every donation. Every event like this one," I gestured around the ballroom, "was built on that funding." Margaret shook her head. No. But no one was listening to her anymore. "What none of you knew," I continued, "is that the funding was never anonymous." Silence. "It just wasn't coming from where you thought." I turned, slowly, and looked directly at them. I was the source. The room didn't react. It detonated. Gasps. Shock. Phones everywhere. Daniel stepped back. Margaret didn't move at all. "You built your empire," I said quietly. "On borrowed money." A pause. "Mine." That was the moment everything broke. No one moved. Not Daniel. Not Margaret. Not even the people who had been whispering seconds ago. Because there was nothing left to say. Daniel stared at me like he didn't recognize me anymore. Like the version of me he had built in his head had just been destroyed. "That's not possible," he said. His voice was quieter now, smaller. "You don't have that kind of money." I didn't answer immediately. I let the silence stretch. Let it settle into him. Did you ever ask?" The question landed harder than anything before. Because he hadn't. He never needed to. He thought he already knew. Margaret finally stepped forward again. But this time, carefully, like she was walking onto unstable ground. "You're lying," she said. No elegance left. No softness. Just fear. "I'm not," I said. And right on cue, the doors at the back of the ballroom opened. Not dramatically, just precisely. A man stepped inside. Mid-40s, composed, professional. Adrian Cole. My lawyer. He walked straight down the center aisle, unaffected by the tension in the room. Unrushed. Unbothered. Certain. "Good evening," he said calmly as he reached the stage. No one responded. Because they were waiting. "For those of you who don't know me," he continued, "my name is Adrian Cole. I represent Evelyn Cross." Daniel let out a short, disbelieving laugh. "This is ridiculous," he said. You think a few edited clips? They're not edited." Adrian didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. "All footage has been verified," he continued. "Time-stamped, authenticated, and already submitted." A pause. "To the appropriate authorities." The word hit harder than anything that came before. Authorities. Margaret's face changed. Not anger, not denial. Calculation. Too late. Adrian turned slightly, placing a document on the podium. "This," he said, "is a post-nuptial agreement." Daniel frowned. "What?" "Signed by you," Adrian continued. 14 months ago. Daniel shook his head immediately. "No, that's not—" "You remember," I said quietly. He stopped. Because he did. "When your company was collapsing," I continued, "when you came to me, asking for help." His breathing changed. "You said it was temporary. That you just needed time." A pause. And I agreed. Adrian flipped the document open. "Clause 7, he said. "In the event of financial misconduct, fraud, or reputational damage," he looked up, "all shared marital assets are transferred in full to Mrs. Cross." Silence. Heavy. Final. Margaret took a step back. Daniel didn't move at all. "No," he whispered, but the word had no weight anymore. "You didn't read it," I said. Because he hadn't. He never thought he needed to. The room shifted again. But this time, it wasn't shock. It was understanding. Daniel looked at me. Really looked. And for the first time, as he saw the truth. "Sophie," he said. My expression didn't change. You don't get to say her name like that. The words were quiet, but absolute. The only thing she'll remember about you, a pause, is what you did tonight. Margaret said nothing, because there was nothing left to say. Everything they built was already collapsing. I stepped away from the podium. No rush, no hesitation. The crowd moved instinctively, making space, because now they understood. Power had shifted. Completely. I paused at the edge of the stage, then turned back, not to them, to the room. You thought I was the weakest person here. A pause. You were wrong. I held their gaze. You didn't destroy me. Another pause. You just showed everyone who you really are. Silence followed me as I walked away. Heavy, unforgettable. The doors closed behind me, and my phone vibrated. A message from Adrian. Custody hearing moved up. A pause. Tomorrow morning. I smiled, because this was only the beginning.